Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's starting 11 prediction time for tomorrow's visit of Aberdeen to Celtic Park. Before we get to looking ahead to tomorrow's game and a bit of the fallout from Tuesday night, it is time to see who the competition winners were from Monday's starting 11 prediction. We were giving away 2 signed shirts by the Celtic squad in partnership with William Hill. This video is sponsored by William Hill, Celtic's official betting partner. We've teamed up to give away some great prizes throughout this season, and the first giveaway was 2 signed shirts to 2 lucky winners. If you took part in the competition, thank you. So without further ado then, let's see who the first winner is. You can see the comment selector on your screen now. The first winner from Monday's competition is Kenny P. Congratulations to Kenny. I'm going to be sending you a message very soon to get your details and get the signed shirt sent out to you. Right, second winner number 2, coming up on the screen right now, and it is Toasted Toast, or whatever your real name actually is. Again, look out for a message coming your way to get your details, and we'll get the signed shirt sent out as soon as we can. So congratulations to the 2 winners. Thank you for taking part, and please stay tuned to the starting 11 predictions moving forward. We'll be giving away many more great prizes as we move through the season. If you want to check out tomorrow's match odds, you can do so in the link in the description. As always, please gamble responsibly and visit begambleaware.org. The last thing before we get to the build-up for tomorrow's game is, if you want to do something to support the channel, please click subscribe below. In Monday's starting 11 prediction, 50% of you weren't subscribed. It's dead easy, it only takes 2 seconds. All you have to do is click the button, and it would really help us out. So if you haven't, please do so below. And we'll get to talking about tomorrow's game, where we'll look to rid ourselves of the mental hangover from Tuesday night in Madrid. It was a really difficult evening. Another humiliating away defeat for Celtic in the Champions League. In the full-time reaction, we did talk a lot about VAR, because I felt, being there in the stadium, that decision ruined the game. It absolutely killed any chance that Celtic had of really competing in the game, which was disappointing so early, to come only 20 minutes in when we were already 1-0 down. It just absolutely finished it. I understand there's a lot of frustration, as there is for me, about the record in Europe. The away record is abysmal. The Champions League record is getting worse and worse and worse as the years go by. And the responsibility for that does lie with the club. It does lie with the board. There's no getting away from that. These are the things we talk about after most European defeats. There's just a wee bit of a change on Tuesday, because I felt the VAR decision was so pivotal in terms of how the rest of the game unfolded. We might have got beaten heavily with 11 men, but it was almost guaranteed we were going to take a hiding, playing with 10 men for the best part of 60 or 70 minutes. So it was really, really tough to watch. But as I say, we don't have enough quality to compete at this level. And if you look through the record, I say this all the time, if you look through the record, you can look at each individual game and explain it by anything that can happen in a football match. All the factors, red cards, poor decision making, mistakes by individual players. But if you look at a record over 10, 15, 20 years, I think you get to the crux of the problem. And the problem for Celtic in Europe, particularly in the Champions League, is the club are just happy to be there, to make up the numbers, to take the participation money, the TV revenue, the ticket money, and put it in the bank. There is no serious strategy for how we progress and how we actually compete at this level. And I know there's lots of factors that make it challenging, but they seem like excuses to me, and it's far too convenient to blame the fact that we play in Scotland, or to blame the fact that we can't afford X player, or to blame that we can't spend X or Y amount in the transfer market. Those are all excuses. The only results we have are the ones that we see unfold season after season in the Champions League, and there is no getting away from the fact that it's not good enough. It's humiliating for a club of Celtic standing, who historically had a good reputation in European football. Such a great history in Europe. As I say, as the seasons go by, it is diminishing to the point where we are absolute cannon fodder at this level, and I don't think there's any excuse for that. All right, you can make arguments for all of the things I've said about how we maybe can't attract a certain level of player or can't afford a certain level of player. But there's no doubt the manager was left short in the summer. Some of the signings were too late. Many of them are not good enough to impact games at this level. And I think the whole strategy is self-defeating to some extent, because we also don't hold on to players that are good enough for long enough to compete at this level either. So whatever the factor you believe is the case, there is no getting away from the fact that the club should be doing better at this level. If you look across Europe, there's lots of examples of other clubs who are not the absolute elite, who don't spend hundreds and hundreds of millions in transfers, finding a way to compete, finding a way to punch above their weight. That's what I want Celtic to do. I think that's what a lot of supporters want Celtic to do. It's coming to the point where the domestic dominance is good. Yes, of course it is. But what else? What else exists after that? Do we just keep winning the league, but continue to become a total insignificance in European football? Because that's what's happening. I think the club need to address that. I don't expect them to address it. I don't expect there to be any change in a strategy that has continued to fail for the best part of 10 to 15 years. We haven't won a European knockout tie for 2 decades, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about the club's approach to European football. As I say, I think the model, I've touched on the recruitment in the summer. The recruitment, I would argue, from halfway through the tenure of Ange Postecoglou hasn't been good enough. None of these players that we've signed really since then have been long-term successes, guys that have made impacts in the team. We had great success with Kyogo, Hatate, Maeda, and after that we've continued to try and tap into the Asian market with the likes of Yang, O, Kwon, Kobayashi, Ideguchi. We're now at the point where we've had more miss-hits than hits from that market, and I don't see, as has always been the case, I don't see how the club gets better and signs a better quality of player gradually, because we used to sign £2 million players and now we still sign £2 million players. But the difference is 10 or 20 years has passed, and you get a decreasingly lower quality of player, and that's why we've had to go to these far off markets to find them. If we sell a player for £20-25 million, we still go back and replace him with a £2 million player. So it's no surprise that we don't have the requisite quality to compete in the Champions League. The manager knows that. I just fear that we're going to be in Groundhog Day with Brendan Rodgers again, because he's come back to the same situation. The situation's not any different. He was keen to point out when he arrived that Mark Lawwell was here and the recruitment system was much, much better. The recruitment system is not much, much better. It's exactly the same as it always was. We thought that it was greatly improved because Ange Postecoglou came in with a very specific knowledge of certain players from an unknown market, and we got 2 or 3 absolute bargains, excellent players who immediately contributed, who hit the ground running, and all of a sudden we thought that the recruitment system at the club was now brilliant, and it's not. And we've seen that again and again, and it's not cut out for this level. It's not cut out to make a club like Celtic punch, I would even argue, punch their weight, but certainly not punch above their weight in European football. And as the months go by and the years go by, we just watch the same movie. We travel all across Europe and we watch the same movie play out year after year after year, and that's disappointing. But anyway, we're back to domestic football tomorrow against Aberdeen, who got a decent result away in Europe against PAOK on Thursday. I did catch some of the game. They managed to cling on after going behind 2-1. They scored a brilliant free kick through Jamie McGrath, and I think they looked a wee bit vulnerable to cross balls actually, but they managed to see it out. They managed to get what was a really good point away from home. I think they might have a hangover from that. I think for a team like Aberdeen, it's difficult to go away in Europe and come back to a tough domestic game, particularly away from home as well. I know Barry Robson's been doing a bit of complaining about their schedule since they've started playing in European football. But for us, we've just got to get back to winning ways. You've got to hope that there's not a mental hangover for the players. We thought there was a mental hangover after the positive performance against Atletico at home in a 2-2 draw. We've got to make sure there isn't a negative hangover tomorrow. In terms of, there's no doubt that bruised egos. I heard Alistair Johnson saying it's the most dominated a team that he's played in has ever been in his career. So there's no doubt that does hurt you, but it's up to the manager to pick the players back up and go again tomorrow and get a victory, because we've got to just ensure that we don't let the negativity from Europe seep into the domestic forum. So here we go. We will get to the team, and I do expect to see a few changes after Tuesday's game. We'll start in goals like we always do. I don't think there'll be a change there. I think Joe Hart will play. He was really disappointing the other night. The only goal that I really wanted to analyse after the game, because it got us off to a really bad start, was the first goal through Griezmann. Joe Hart has a corner floated into his hands. He's totally unchallenged, and he slaps it away. He doesn't really get proper distance on it. It doesn't clear the danger. It goes to the left-hand side. The ball comes back in. Callum McGregor heads it down to Griezmann, and we're 1-0 down from a totally unavoidable situation that the goalkeeper should have dealt better with. I know a lot of people have been sharing the footage. I think it's the 6th goal where he ends up really deep in his net trying to save Saul's shot. I think we've got issues trying to win a game of football at this level with Joe Hart in goals. And I know he's been good for us. He was the ideal signing. He's done really, really well for us. He's been a leader. He came in at an important time. But if we want to win games of football at that level, you need your goalkeeper. You need your goalkeeper to put in a performance where he keeps everything out. You can't play at that level and have a goalkeeper who makes mistakes that lead to goals. You're never going to win a game of football at that level, because the opposition is far too ruthless. You can't get away with the kind of mistakes that we've seen Joe Hart make in the Champions League this season. And I love him to bits, but that is the truth of the matter. Right back, Alistair Johnston. Centre half, I'm keeping Carter Vickers and Scales, and Greg Taylor at left back. Maybe we could see Ralston come in again. I don't know. Maybe rest Alistair Johnston. Will Carter Vickers be able to play his 3rd game in the space of 7 or 8 days? We'll see. I hope so, because he is important for us, and I think Phillips does really slow us down, particularly when we're trying to build the game. You would expect Aberdeen to defend for periods of the game, so I think the quicker we can move the ball, the better, and Carter Vickers is important in that aspect of the game as he is defensively. In midfield, I'm going McGregor, O'Reilly, and I expect Turnbull to come back into the team. I think Bernardo will drop out. Turnbull, 2-2 in his last 2 domestic outings. I think he'll come back in. I think domestically he is a squad player that Brendan Rodgers likes to reintroduce from time to time. I think he'll get the nod tomorrow. In terms of the front three, we've got issues because Dyson Maeda, in the challenge that he got sent off for, damaged his medial ligament, and he's out for 6 weeks. That's the final thing to compound the misery. A Tuesday night, that causes a problem for us, because I think Palma's suspended against Lazio, so that's for a couple of weeks' time. But we're going to be really depleted in those wide areas, particularly given Liel Abada is out longer term as well. So tomorrow I'm going Palma on the right hand side, Yang on the left, and Kyogo through the middle. Kyogo barely touched the ball the other night. We know that's how it goes when the team can't get service to him. Really difficult with 10 men on the pitch as well. And I think just generally after 20 minutes we had absolutely nothing going forward from the wide players, from the forward players. It was just it's a write-off, that last 60 odd minutes of the game. So really difficult on Tuesday, but let's hope we can bounce back tomorrow, get a good win under our belts, and go into the international break having gotten rid of that negativity from Tuesday night. That's the team I think Brendan Rodgers will go with. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts on the team below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you were one of the 2 lucky competition winners, look out for the message coming to you on YouTube, and we'll exchange details and get the prizes sent out. See you tomorrow outside Celtic Park for the full-time reaction. Thank you.